Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a wood floor for the Seahawk 4 from Intex. So this here is what the floor looks like when the boat is fully inflated. Now, let's show you guys how to get this done. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go out and get yourself an 8x4 clear plastic drop sheet. We're going to use that as what we're going to trace our template on. Then we're going to transfer it over to an 8x4 sheet of 1/2 inch plywood. Now you will see a lot of videos out there that show you here. They always say, use this here outside seam. Now originally that's what I went with, but I always had to keep trimming it off. So my recommendation and what worked for me is use this inside seam, the one closest to the bottom of the floor. You'll see there's about an inch seam all the way around. Use the inside portion of that. So what you're going to want to do is lay your 8x4 clear plastic drop sheet on the bottom of your boat once it is all fully inflated, all 3 chambers. I suggest using masking tape to hold it in place. You're going to want it nice and snug. Go ahead with a marker, trace along this seam here, the inside seam, all the way around the boat. Then use a sharp pair of scissors. Go ahead, cut the plastic along where you traced. Once you're done that, I'd suggest just putting it back on for a dry fit, just to make sure that there's going to be no places you're going to have to trim any excess off. Once you're satisfied with the fit of your clear plastic dry sheet, go ahead and transfer it onto your 8x4 sheet of plywood. Okay, so once you transfer your plastic drop sheet onto your plywood, you've traced it out, you've cut it using a jigsaw, go around and sand all the edges and corners. You want a nice smooth finish. You don't want any of that causing any friction. So this here is roughly what the nose of the boat is going to look like. This is the tricky portion here. Stay tuned for the comments. I will show you the dimensions of everything that you'll need to do. It'll make it nice and smooth for you. Now you will also see up here I have 3 holes drilled. This here's just a test, just for example for you guys. They're about 6 inches apart and roughly about 1.5 inches in from the edge. Let me just change spots here, and I'll put a foam insulation and tap it with zip ties to show you how to secure it. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, I have the plumbing insulation for just standard copper pipes, 1/2 inch. There's a seam in the middle of it. You just split it apart. I wrap that around the edge. Now, as you can see, with those 3 holes that I drilled 6 inches apart, I just ran the zip tie through it just to secure. You only want to tighten it enough so it doesn't move around. You just go ahead afterwards, you trim off all the tails that you see here, nice and short, and you do it all the way around. It's going to take you roughly about 4 pieces or lengths of plumbing insulation. Okay, so here we have the floor that was cut out, insulated all the way around with zip ties, roughly about 6 inches apart, put in. Now there's a few things that you're going to want to do before you do this step. I recommend sanding your whole sheet of plywood, front, back, and edges. You want it smooth to the touch. You don't want any splinters or any pieces of wood that will catch and cause issues down the road. I recommend, if you can, use pressure treated lumber for obvious reasons. If you're on a tight budget and you can't afford, I go ahead and use this. Use some sort of a sealant. I just used Tremclad. I used both sides of it, made it nice and secure. Water's not going to penetrate that for at least a couple of years anyway. Every time I'm done with the boat, I deflate and I do remove the boat, so it's never going to be sitting in any water that may build up on the bottom of your boat. Okay, and before you take your boat out to the water, I do recommend that you do a fit at home. Inflate it, make sure it's nice and secure. You're not going to have any problems, because it's always easier to deal with it at home when you have all the proper tools than it is when you're out at the lake. Alright guys, don't forget to check the comments. I'm going to show you a picture with all the proper dimensions and make your life a little bit easier before making your hardwood floor for your Intex Seahawk 4. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please do me a favor, leave a subscribe. I use all the help I can get. Thanks guys.